Hey coin collectors, and welcome to the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today we're going to talk about the 1945 Walking Liberty half dollars. We've got three of them here. We have the 1945 Philly, which you can't tell it's a Philly until you turn it over and there's no mint mark. We have the San Francisco one here where you can see the S mint mark there. And we have the Denver one here where we can see the D mint mark. Now these coins, one of the conundrums we have these days is whether we should sell our silver coins. These coins have about $28 or $29 in silver melt value alone in them. So it's Walking Liberty. It says Liberty at the top. Lady Liberty walking towards the sunrise. 1945 at the bottom. In God we trust here. We tip it up on its side and we see these are 90% silver, 10% copper. And then we get on the back and we see the United States of America, E pluribus unum, half dollar. The mint mark is right here if there was one. Because there isn't one here, that means it's a Philadelphia. And then way over on the side here, there is an A, and a W kind of scratched in there, it looks like. And that's for the engraver, Adolph A. Weinman, who engraved these coins starting in 1916. So the big quandary is, how much are these worth? And what could we sell them for? And it turns out that you can probably get 21 or 22 from some coin dealers for them. So is it worth keeping these coins for the $22? Well, what we'll do is we'll take a look at their values. We'll talk about how much these coins are worth in terms of collector value versus silver melt value. And we'll also talk about what coins it would be worth selling. So let's get started with these. This one right here is a Philadelphia coin. They made $31.5 million at Philly. The auction record for one of these is $60,000, and it turns out that there are some incredibly good ones. This is not one of them. You can't see all the different little feathers and the beak and the eye on this one. This one's a worn out one. But if you did get one at a mint state 68, they found 4 of them so far, and those are worth about $65,000. When you get down to a mint state 65, you're starting to talk about $65. So the value in these is you have to have the best ones ever, really, to get much over $100 for them. You can see Liberty walking towards the sunset, the American flag over her shoulder, a wreath in her arm. And if you're looking for the good ones, you'll be able to see all these stars in the flag. You'll be able to differentiate the different plants she has in her wreath here. And here's another thing that's funny about these, and that is that when the Kennedy half dollar came out, it mimicked the Walking Liberty. See how the B, the E, and the R, because they're obscured a little bit by Lady Liberty's image, they did the same thing on the Kennedy half dollars. So take a look at your Kennedy half dollars and you'll see that Kennedy's hair comes up where the B and the E and the R is, and it kind of obscures the Liberty there also. Here's that Kennedy half, and see how the B, the E, and the R, the hair, the Kennedy half kind of pays homage to the Walking Liberty half. It's kind of a fun little design thing that they did. Now, if you get one of these that's not in great shape, say very good or a very good 8, that's a label for a circulated coin that has significant wear. So this might very well be a very good 8 here. The collector value on this is about $28, and the melt value is about $28. So I think at that level, you still probably ought to keep them, because remember, the melt value is the full melt value, and the dealer is probably going to pay you about $21 for these. So if they're worth $28 and they have about $21 you'll get for them, I would keep them if it was for the $28. Now, one thing you want to look for on these coins from the Philadelphia is right down here, and that is, once in a while, you'll get one of these Philadelphias without a initial on it. They call these the missing initial 1945 Phillies. And if Adolph A. Weinman's initials are not there, then you're probably talking in the hundreds of dollars. So always look for the initials on the Phillies from 1945. For the Denver 1945s, they made almost $10 million. So 31 at Philly, 10 at Denver. The auction record for a Denver is $40,800, And if you get a Mint State 68, PCGS has graded 3 of them and says that a Mint State 68 is worth about $45,000. An almost uncirculated version of this coin, $45. And the melt value, again, around $28, but a very good 8 for one of these is still around $28. So you might as well keep these ones too, I would say. No sense in, unless you have a bunch of them or way too many of them and you already have some really good ones, I would say you might as well keep these because the collector value to you is a little bit above what the silver melt value is. So they made them at the San Francisco Mint also, and here's that S right here. They made 10 million of the S coins. The auction record is 60,000. The Mint State 68 is actually a little lower than the other coins because they found 6 Mint State 68s for the San Francisco Mint. And so that's worth about $42,500. A very good 8 with a significant wear like this is worth about $28. And a Mint State 65 is worth about $165. So my thoughts on selling these coins for their silver value is that if you get maybe the Kennedy halves or some of the more modern ones, even the Franklin halves, I think it might be worth selling some of those if you have a bunch of them already. But with the Walking Liberties, because they're worth above the silver value that somebody's going to pay you, I would always keep those Walking Liberties, even the 1945s. All right, well, good luck coin collecting out there. And I want to show you one other coin that we got. So I do want to talk to you about another Walking Liberty that is incredibly valuable, and that is what the so-called American Eagles. So in the 80s, the United States started coming out with these 99% silver coins. So this coin here weighs, it has 1 ounce of fine silver in it. So 99% silver. So it actually weighs a little over an ounce because it has an ounce of silver in it. United States of America, 1 ounce fine silver, $1. You can see the eagle, the E pluribus unum, the 13 stars. And this coin right here, its silver melt value right now is $78. Because this was one of the first ones produced, however, this coin may be worth $125 to $150. So if you do have one of these coins, it has a huge silver melt value, but unless you get one of the more modern ones, it's not really worth selling one of the older ones of these either. All right, well, that's all we have today from DC Coin World International Coin Channel. We'd love to have you subscribe to our channel and leave any comments you have in the comment section.